My wife handed me separation papers at her parents' anniversary dinner, right between the salmon course and the toast. Her mother actually smiled. Her father said, "Finally." And for about 5 seconds, everyone at that table thought they were watching me lose. Then her lover's wife walked into the room. That was when my wife stopped smiling. My name is Andrew Callahan. I was 43 years old when my wife, Vanessa, tried to turn me into a public lesson in front of her entire family. What I didn't know yet was that Vanessa had planned almost every part of that night, except the person who would walk through the door. We lived in Fort Collins, Colorado, where I owned Callahan Restoration, a furniture repair and upholstery shop. We rebuilt dining sets, restored old hotel furniture, and saved family heirlooms people could not bring themselves to throw away. It was honest, patient work. The kind where damage did not automatically mean something was finished. Vanessa used to say she loved that about me. She said I could see value where other people saw damage. That sentence would become ironic enough to need its own chair. I met Vanessa 12 years earlier at a charity auction for a children's hospital. She was 31, working in donor relations for a private foundation, wearing a dark green dress and holding a clipboard with the intensity of a person conducting air traffic control. I had donated a restored walnut writing desk for the auction, and she came over to ask why I had listed its age as probably older than everyone in this room pretending not to check their phones. I told her because it was accurate. She laughed. That laugh got me into trouble for the next decade. For the first years we were good. Really good. She brought elegance into my life. I brought stability, the kind that showed up on time, fixed broken things, and knew which credit card had the lowest interest rate. We bought a brick house on Maple Ridge Court with a porch too wide to ignore and a kitchen Vanessa said felt warm but not suburban sad, which was one of her compliments if you knew how to translate. We did not have children. At first we said later. Then later became maybe. Then maybe became silence. I will not pretend that part did not put a hairline crack in us. But I still thought we were a team. The warning signs started in March. Vanessa became harder to reach on weekends. She said foundation events were stacking up, donors needed extra attention, board members were demanding, and everything was high-touch relationship management. Then there was Graham Pierce. Graham was married to Vanessa's cousin Lydia. That made him family-adjacent enough to appear at birthdays, holiday dinners, baby showers, and every event where relatives stand in kitchens pretending they are helping while eating cheese cubes. He owned a consulting firm that advised nonprofits on strategic visibility, which seemed to mean charging a lot of money to tell people their website needed better photos. Graham was smooth in the way cheap furniture polish is smooth. Shiny from far away, greasy up close. He wore navy sport coats, drove a silver Range Rover, and had the facial expression of a man who believed every conversation improved when he entered it. Vanessa used to roll her eyes at him. Then she stopped. Suddenly, Graham had smart ideas. Graham understood donor psychology. Graham had a fascinating view on emotional risk. Graham said some marriages become identity cages. That phrase came home with her one Thursday evening and sat at our dinner table like an uninvited guest. Identity cages? I asked, looking up from the stew I had made because apparently I still believed in feeding the woman who was emotionally rehearsing my funeral. It means people sometimes become trapped in old versions of themselves, she said. Did Graham say that before or after billing someone by the hour? She did not laugh. That was another warning sign. My best friend Trevor Lane noticed too. He owned a bakery supply company and had the emotional delicacy of a forklift, which is sometimes exactly what a man needs. One Friday he came by with cinnamon rolls, 2 already missing. Vanessa called, asked where I would be that evening and asked when I expected to get home. Trevor watched my face after the call. Trevor leaned against a half-finished armchair and said, "That woman is checking your location like she is planning a bank robbery." She asked about dinner. No, she asked where the security cameras are, but with vowels. I told him he was being dramatic. He said, "I sell industrial mixers to bakers who cry over gluten ratios. I know drama. This smells worse." The first hard evidence came from a hotel receipt. I handled our household expenses because Vanessa hated money clutter, which meant she liked spending it more than sorting it. One Tuesday morning I saw a charge from the Alder House, a boutique hotel downtown. $286. Saturday night. Vanessa had told me she was staying at her friend Marcy's house after a foundation gala because she had wine and did not want to drive. When I asked, she barely looked up from her phone. Marcy's guest room flooded. The hotel was easier. Why didn't you tell me? Because I knew you would do this. Ask a question? Turn everything into suspicion. That was the first time I heard the new version of myself. Apparently I was controlling. Emotionally unavailable. Too focused on work. Too practical. Too quiet. Too much of one thing, not enough of another, and conveniently responsible for every locked door she had started building. I stopped arguing with the version of me she was describing and started paying attention to what she actually did. Saturday foundation events became regular. Hotel charges appeared twice more. A restaurant receipt for 2 showed up from a place Vanessa once said was too intimate for work dinners. Graham started texting during family events, and Vanessa started finding reasons to step outside. At her parents' house in June, during Father's Day lunch, I watched Graham's phone buzz. He glanced down then toward the hallway. 30 seconds later, Vanessa went to check on dessert. Trevor, who had come with me afterward to pick up a cabinet from a client, asked why I looked like I had swallowed a nail. I told him everything. He listened without interrupting, which was unusual enough that I knew he was taking it seriously. Then he said, "Okay. We do this boring." Boring? Boring saves men from prison. Exciting gets you on the news wearing the wrong shirt. That became our rule. No yelling. No showing up at hotels. No threats. No dramatic confrontation in a parking lot. We collected facts. I checked the statements, saved the receipts, wrote down the dates, and built a timeline from information already in front of me. No following anyone. No digging into private accounts. The pattern made my stomach feel worse every time it became clearer. Then Vanessa made her move. Her parents, Robert and Elaine Whitmore, were planning their 35th anniversary dinner in late July at a private dining room above a restaurant called Juniper and Stone. Vanessa was unusually interested in making sure I attended. "You cannot work late that night," she said. I wasn't planning to. "And please wear the charcoal suit, not the brown jacket." "The brown jacket offended your ancestors?" "It is a nice dinner, Andrew." What she meant was, dress properly for your public execution. The week before the dinner, Vanessa left her phone charging on the kitchen island while she showered. A message preview lit the screen. "Graham. After Saturday we can stop hiding." I did not open the phone. I did not need to. Saturday was her parents' anniversary dinner, and suddenly her insistence that I attend made sense. This was not just a separation. She was planning an audience. I took a photo of the hotel charges and called Trevor. He arrived 20 minutes later with coffee, a legal pad, and powdered donuts because apparently betrayal requires carbohydrates. We sat in my office above the shop and laid out what I had: hotel charges, receipts, family dinners, and Graham's message preview. Then Trevor found the missing piece. Where is Lydia in all this? Lydia was Graham's wife. Vanessa's cousin. A quiet elementary school counselor with kind eyes and the posture of someone who apologized to chairs when she bumped into them. "I don't know," I said. "She should." I hesitated. There are lines you do not cross lightly. But Lydia was about to sit at that anniversary dinner beside a man who had turned her marriage into a side agreement. She deserved the truth before she became part of the performance. I called her the next morning. She did not answer. So I sent a short message. "Lydia, this is Andrew. I am sorry to contact you this way, but I have information about Graham and Vanessa that you need to see before Saturday. I will not send anything unless you ask." She called within 4 minutes. Her voice was small. "Is it what I think it is?" I closed my eyes. "Yes." She came to my shop that afternoon. I showed her the hotel charges, the dates, and the message preview. Lydia sat very still. Then she opened a folder she had brought with her. Once she knew which weekends to check, she had gone through the shared accounts and calendars she legally had access to. The dates matched. So did the lies. Graham had also left messages synced to their family tablet. One of them said Vanessa would give me the papers after dinner, while everyone was still seated. Another said, "Men like Andrew only understand consequences when the room stops protecting them." Lydia stared at that sentence for a long time. "I asked him if there was someone else," she said. "He told me I was projecting because of my parents' divorce." That made me angrier than anything I had seen. Not loud anger. The kind that goes quiet because it has work to do. Lydia asked what time Vanessa planned to give me the papers. "After dinner." She looked at Graham's message again. "Then do not tell anyone you spoke to me." "Why?" "Because I want to hear what they say before they know I am coming." Saturday arrived with weather too beautiful for what was coming. Juniper and Stone had a private upstairs room with brick walls, amber lights, white tablecloths, blue hydrangeas, and long windows overlooking Old Town. The whole room looked expensive, tasteful, and emotionally underinsured. Vanessa wore a pale gold dress I had never seen before. Graham wore a dark blue suit. The chair beside him was empty. He told everyone Lydia had a migraine and sent her apologies. Vanessa barely reacted. Graham did. Robert and Elaine greeted me politely but with strange stiffness. Elaine kissed Vanessa's cheek and whispered something that made my wife smile. That confirmed it. They knew she planned to leave me. They did not know why. Dinner took forever. Graham told a story about a client retreat that nobody found as charming as he did. Vanessa laughed anyway. Robert made a toast about marriage requiring courage, and Elaine looked directly at Vanessa when he said sometimes choosing yourself is the bravest act. I almost admired the choreography. After dessert, Vanessa stood. Her hands trembled just enough to betray nerves, not guilt. "I know tonight is about Mom and Dad," she said, "but being around a marriage that has lasted 35 years has made me realize I need to be honest about my own." The room went quiet. Trevor was not there, but I could hear his voice in my head. Do this boring. Vanessa pulled a cream envelope from her purse and slid it across the table to me. I am filing for legal separation. Elaine smiled with relief. Oh, honey. Robert nodded. Finally. That word hit harder than the envelope. Finally. As if my removal had been a family project waiting for approval. Vanessa looked at me with sad, rehearsed dignity. I do not want to hurt you, Andrew. But I cannot keep pretending. I picked up the envelope, opened it, and looked at the papers long enough for everyone to enjoy the silence. Then I set them down. You are right, I said. Pretending should stop. Her expression flickered. Then the private dining room door opened. Lydia walked in. Graham went completely still. Vanessa stopped smiling. Lydia looked at me once, then at her husband. Sorry I am late, she said. I did not want to miss the honest part. Elaine blinked. Lydia? I thought you were sick. So did I, Lydia said. Then I found out what was actually making me sick. Graham started to rise. Lydia, don't. Sit down. He sat. I reached into my jacket and placed my folder on the table. But if we are doing this in front of family, we should include the part Vanessa left out. Graham's face changed before Vanessa's did. That told me he understood exactly what was coming. Robert's confidence began to drain. I handed him the hotel charges and timeline. Lydia placed Graham's messages beside them. There was also a photo Graham had posted publicly and then deleted from a restaurant, not realizing Vanessa's bracelet was visible beside his wine glass. Elaine picked up one page, read it, and whispered, No. Yes, Lydia said. Your daughter has been having an affair with my husband. The room exploded. Not loud at first. Shock does not always start with shouting. Sometimes it starts with forks set down carefully, chairs pushed back, breath catching in throats. Then Elaine turned to Vanessa. Graham? Vanessa began crying. I did not mean for it to happen. I almost laughed, but not because anything was funny. You booked the same hotel 3 Saturdays in a row. That is not an accident. That is a rewards program. Someone made a strangled sound. It might have been Robert. Graham tried to stand. Lydia pointed at him. Sit down. He sat. I had never seen a man obey that fast without a dog trainer present. Robert looked at me, the papers shaking in his hand. You knew. For weeks. And you let her do this here? I looked at the envelope Vanessa had given me. She picked the stage. I brought the lighting. Elaine covered her mouth and started crying. Not the elegant kind. The collapsing kind. Because 5 minutes earlier, she had been proud that her daughter was leaving a man she considered too ordinary. Now she was looking at the husband of her own niece and understanding what she had encouraged. Lydia gathered the documents with steady hands. I am leaving, she said. Graham reached for her. She stepped back. Do not touch me. Then she looked at Vanessa. You let me sit beside you at Thanksgiving while you were having an affair with my husband. Vanessa sobbed. I'm sorry. No, Lydia said. You are exposed. Those are different. That line deserved a plaque. I left shortly after. Not dramatically. Not with a final speech. I simply stood, put Vanessa's separation papers back into the envelope and said, Have your attorney contact mine. Elaine tried to say my name. I did not turn around. Outside, I sat in my truck for a full minute, gripping the steering wheel while my hands shook. Then I called Trevor. He answered with, Do I need bail money or pizza? Pizza. Excellent outcome. The next few weeks were not as satisfying as people imagine. Truth does not clean up the mess it reveals. It only turns the lights on. Vanessa's first messages were angry. Then pleading. Then philosophical, which somehow annoyed me more. She said Graham manipulated her. She said she felt unseen. She said her parents' marriage made her feel like she had failed at happiness. She said she never meant for Lydia to be hurt. I sent everything to my attorney and answered nothing personal. Graham moved out within days. Months later, I heard his firm had lost several non-profit clients after the affair became known. I never contacted a client or helped the story travel. I had enough to clean up in my own life. Lydia filed for divorce quietly. She and I spoke twice after the dinner, both times about documents. She thanked me for telling her before she wasted more years. I told her she deserved better than learning truth from a room full of people. Vanessa's parents took longer. Robert came to my shop 3 weeks later. He stood near a torn leather sofa waiting for repair, looking older than he had at dinner. I owe you an apology, he said. I waited. We believed her version. She said you were cold. That you cared more about work than marriage. That she had tried everything. I figured. He looked at the floor. When she handed you those papers, I was relieved. I thought my daughter was finally escaping. And then? He swallowed. Then I realized she had used us as scenery. That was the first honest thing anyone in that family had said to me in months. I accepted the apology, but I did not invite him back into my life. An apology could close one door without reopening another. Business kept me upright. I threw myself into a restoration contract for a historic hotel in Boulder. 72 leather chairs, 12 lobby benches, and walnut panels with labels so confusing I told Trevor they looked like they had been translated through 3 languages and then shuffled for fun. Finally, your people wrote something, he said. The contract doubled our revenue for the quarter, brought in 2 commercial clients, and forced me to hire a contract attorney because ask Google and hope was no longer a legal strategy. That was how I met Natalie Reed. Natalie was 37, a contract lawyer with auburn hair, calm brown eyes, and a way of reading vendor agreements that made loopholes look embarrassed for existing. She came to the shop in a gray coat and black boots, sat in my office, opened the hotel contract, read the first page and said, "Who drafted this?" "Someone who charges by the confusion." I stared at her. Then I laughed so hard the pain in my chest loosened for the first time in weeks. At first, Natalie was just my attorney. Then she became coffee after late meetings, and eventually dinner after we settled a payment dispute with the hotel. Somewhere along the way talking to her stopped feeling like work. She knew about Vanessa. Not the dramatic version. The real one. She never asked me why I did not see it sooner. That mattered. Healing did not come from Natalie promising she would be different. It came from the fact that she never had to say it. 5 months after the anniversary dinner, I ran into Vanessa at a farmer's market near City Park. She was alone, wearing a faded denim jacket and holding a paper bag of peaches like she had forgotten why she bought them. "Andrew," she said. I nodded. She looked tired. Not destroyed. Not theatrical. Just tired in the way people look when the story they told themselves stops working. "I heard about the hotel contract," she said. "It went well." "And Natalie Reed?" I did not answer right away. Vanessa gave a small, sad smile. "I guess that is an answer. She is in my life." Her eyes filled. "I thought leaving you would make me feel free." I waited. It just made me realize Graham only wanted the version of me who was willing to betray someone. Once I needed him to be real, he was gone. That sounds like Graham. She looked down at the peaches. "I am sorry for the dinner." "You are sorry it became true in front of everyone." She flinched because that was the difference she had hoped I would not name. Then she whispered, "Did you ever love me?" I thought about the woman at the charity auction. The green dress. The first laugh. The porch we painted together. The years before Graham became a destination disguised as a feeling. "Yes," I said. "I loved who I believed you were." She cried then quietly. No begging. No dramatic reach for my arm. Just grief arriving too late to be useful. I wished her well because I meant it from a safe distance. That evening, Natalie stopped by the shop with revised contract language and 2 coffees. Trevor was there, pretending to organize fabric samples while absolutely listening to everything. Natalie handed me a cup and said, "Good news. The contract now reads like it was written for humans." Trevor whispered, "Marry her." I threw a roll of upholstery thread at him. Later, after they left, I walked through the shop alone. The hotel chairs were lined up in neat rows, repaired and ready for delivery. The walnut panels leaned against the wall, polished back to life. Everything in that room had arrived damaged, confused, mislabeled, or underestimated. Not everything was worth saving. But some things were. My peace was. My work was. The life I built after Vanessa tried to make me small in front of people who had already decided I deserved it. I used to think the worst thing that happened at that anniversary dinner was that my wife handed me separation papers. It was not. The worst thing was hearing her father say, "Finally," and realizing how long I had been sitting at a table where people were waiting for me to disappear. The best thing was that I did. Not from my life. From theirs. Vanessa chose to end the marriage in front of her family. Was Andrew right to let the truth come out in the same room, or should he have handled it privately? Tell me what you think below. And if this story stayed with you like the video. If you stay for the whole journey, from betrayal to the moment it finally becomes closure, subscribe to Elfix Tales. That is the story we tell here.